All right, everybody, welcome back. Today, wanted to put together a video for you about our top 5 fat burners, in my opinion, that bodybuilders use commonly in their show prep that actually work, that I have used myself, used with other clients, and give you a little bit of my opinion on the top 5 from 5 to 1 of what's most effective, what kind of different uses they may have, and kind of explain to you what kind of tools we can put together to trim that last bit of fat off before we get ourselves on stage. So we're going to give a quick video and rundown and discussion on that. And so stay tuned. We will go over that right after this. All right. So top 5 fat burners that we can use in show prep, or some of them just used in a fat loss cutting sense to get yourself in shape for the beach this summer or next summer coming up, or just to get in shape in general for an event. But mainly we're going to focus on the things that bodybuilders are using before they actually get themselves on stage and why they might use them versus other tools and how they all work differently. And we'll go over those and rank them from top 5, in my opinion and my experience. Now, before we get into that, I think it's a little fair to explain a little bit of foreshadowing, or not foreshadowing, but foresight into the discussion of there's a couple things we need to go over ahead of time. So whether people realize it or not, none of these fat burners are going to be magic pills. None of them are going to just magically get you in shape. There's work in dieting that has to go along with that. Now, I assume everybody knows that, but there are a lot of people out there that are under the impression that all we have to do is hit the gym, eat a little less, just kind of eat whatever we want, don't have any kind of direction into our diet, and just implement a fat burner of some sorts, and we will get stage ready. And we all know that's not the case. There's definitely layers to getting ready for the stage. And the first one always is going to start with our diet. We need to put ourselves in a position with a diet that's going to get us effectively lean, as fat-free as possible, but also retain a lot of our muscle tissue. So we need to make sure that we have some basic things in place. So I just want to make sure that's covered ahead of time. So if we're just assuming that you're going to take a fat burner and you're going to get in shape, that's not the case. You need to have a good diet, need to be in a caloric deficit, as well as need to have enough protein to retain the muscle that we work so hard for. So when we show up on stage, we have not chewed away any of our muscle or burned that away either, because that is possible if we go a little too hard into the diet or a little bit too rough into the caloric deficit, or maybe just even utilize the wrong tools, wrong dieting methods. All of those things can lead to muscle loss if we're not careful. So having an adequate training is huge for retaining muscle. You need to stimulate the muscle to actually retain it. Training is going to do that with resistance training, but also having a sound diet with enough proper amount of protein in there, enough amino acids, and we still need some added fats as well for some EFAs to keep us healthy during this whole process as well. Carbohydrates are going to be our sliding scale when it comes to the deficit, in my opinion. Yeah, there's some people that go out there and do keto for show prep. I think that carbohydrates are very valuable because they're going to help push that training along and uphold training intensity as well, having actual glycogen stores in our muscle to be used for direct energy for our resistance training. But with that being said, let's just assume that everybody is properly dieting, properly training, and properly resting. So what do we use on top of that to help us get into stage shape? So the first one we'll go over is a newer product, SLU PP 332, which is a mitochondrial aid that has been popular lately. I've used it myself. SLU PP 332 enhances your mitochondrial's ability, to oxidize fat and boost actual energy expenditure. So that's going to help you burn more calories. And also a beautiful thing about SLU PP 332 is it's not a stimulant necessarily. So yeah, it gives you more energy production through the mitochondria, but it's not giving you this stimulated effect through the CNS, through your sensory nervous system. So part of that's what I really appreciate about SLU PP 332 is that it's not, again, something that you're going to have a big stimulant crash by any means. It does seem to give a little bit of a edge with performance in the sense of some energy production. It's not something that's going to be a high stim product that's going to keep you jacked up or feeling like you're all methed out on your training sessions. It's definitely a promising product. It's definitely noticeably helping people lose body fat. It's, again, something that I think that should be looked into first and foremost. That's why I'm going to put it at number 5. It's not the most powerful fat burner, but there's some positives to it. Again, with being able to still sleep after using it, it's not something that's going to keep you stimmed up and awake all night. You can use it if you train in the evening and still be able to find a way to get some restful sleep. So I think that's a huge advantage. And I've had a lot of people benefit more from getting better rest and recovery than just slamming their CNS and being overstimulated just to burn a little extra calories. So SLU PP 332 is going to be number 5 for me. The downside of it, in my opinion, is there's just like not a ton of research right now, especially human research in the product. There are some rat studies, as well as I believe some studies in rabbits that have been performed, but nothing that's any too promising to tell us what's going to happen to us down the road. 20 years down the road, there's no long-term effect data to tell us the safety efficacy of this product. Dosing wise, I start most people at around 250 micrograms myself. That's where I started as well before fasted cardio. And then sometimes I'll give people a second dose pre-workout. And then the most I usually get most of my clients up to is maybe 500 micrograms in the morning and the same pre-workout in the evening. So that's been the trick. If I felt we had to use any more, we might just implement a different strategy anyhow. So SLU PP 332 is going to be my number 5. Number 4 is going to be, in my opinion, of an effective fat burner weight loss product is going to be Retatrutide. Now, Retatrutide is a new product. It's in the class of GLP-1 products, and it's also not just a one-faceted GLP-1 like semaglutide or a dual-faceted product like tirzepatide with the GIP, but it also has a glucagon agonist part of the product as well, which is going to help speed your metabolism and burn some body fat as well. The beautiful thing about Retatrutide is those that struggle with hunger during their dieting phase, it really does a great job of controlling appetite with the GLP itself. And then the glucagon on top of that is also helping with your ability to burn calories. And the GIP is something that's also going to slow down some of your going to slow down some of your digestive speed. So part of that also has a positive where it allows you to have more time in your GI to digest the food and uptake nutrients. And another beautiful thing about Retatrutide is that it improves your insulin sensitivity as well. We've also seen a lot of people with fatty livers or some fatty strips on their liver that have improved over time just by using lower therapeutic doses of Retatrutide. So this is something that's not going to be the biggest fat burner per se itself, but it's going to help in the sense of hunger, making the dieting part, which we've already stressed how important it is, a lot easier. So you're not so food focused, and we're going to be able to burn some fat. It's going to raise your heart rate a little bit. It's going to increase your metabolic rate a little bit as well. So all these things are going to aid to and push you towards a more stage-ready physique and just make the process a little bit easier. Another beautiful thing, it's not a stimulant. It does raise your heart rate a little bit, but in general, it's not something that's going to keep you up all night. You're going to be able to sleep on it. And dosing is going to be an important part. If you've never used GLPs before, I suggest most people start at 1.5 or 2 milligrams per week of Retatrutide, preferably broken up into maybe 3 doses, like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule, and just split up that 2 milligrams or 1.5 milligrams equally each day. I find that to be more effective for keeping the hunger levels more steady, as well as any little bit of nausea that can come along with the GLP itself, a little bit more at bay. Any negative side effects seem to kind of level off a bit through this microdosing. But it can be a huge game changer for a lot of people. Not having to worry about hunger, not having to worry about the food focus, always thinking about their meals more than their training. They're thinking about getting in their post-workout meal before they're really done with their training and really should be focusing on that. And it really just keeps your eye on the prize so you don't have to focus so much on the food. It makes a big difference to some people. Other people, it's not the biggest deal. It's something that they're used to. As bodybuilders, we're used to being either super hungry or super full all the time. But I find this can be definitely important, especially something that's not a stimulant, still preserves sleep in your rest and recovery. So Retatrutide, number 4 for me. Give that one a shot. I think that's a pretty safe option. And I think most people are going to do quite well on that for fat burning and fat loss in general. Now, number 3, one of my favorites, an old school approach, is the old school ECY Stack. Now, that's ephedrine, caffeine, and yohimbine. Now, these are definitely going to rev up your central nervous system. There's something that's going to be a high stimulant product. A lot of these are also beta 2 receptor agonists, so they're definitely going to raise your heart rate a bit. So there's something that increases your metabolic rate. It increases that stimulation of the central nervous system, gives you a little bit more energy for like fasted cardio is the best way, in my opinion, to implement this. You can take ephedrine, caffeine, yohimbine, stack in the morning, let that kind of kick in for 20 minutes before you do your fasted cardio, and you're really going to get a sweat going, and you're going to be able to apply some good intensity to your cardio. So the downside, again, is going to be the fact that these things are going to kind of mess with your sleep a little bit if you're sensitive to stimulants. You're really going to build up your tolerance a bit if you think you're going to do a second dose pre-training and then still get some sleep towards the end of the night. But it's a tried and true method for fat burning. Just be careful. Again, anytime we use stimulants, we have to be careful we don't overstimulate ourselves, raise our heart rate too much, and get ourselves into a point where blood pressure is increased and resting heart rate's too high, and we can never really calm down and slow the body down and actually get some rest and recovery, which is huge during prep. Being able to manage your recovery is huge to your look when you step on stage as well. But number 3 for me is going to be that ECY Stack. Very cost effective, something that you can easily buy online. It's pretty easy to source. Ephedrine, you can get through the form of Bronchade at any pharmacy, and caffeine and yohimbine is easily can be purchased on Amazon. I'd start people most of the time at the Bronchade, the ephedrine, about 25 milligrams in the morning. Again, fasted pre-cardio. Caffeine, maybe 200 milligrams, and yohimbine, 2.5, 5 milligram range for that as well. Try that for a few weeks. I think that's a really good option for fat burning. It works wonders, and some people really appreciate actually the added energy in the morning when you're really dragging ass. At the end of a show prep, you're 3 weeks out. It's hard to get out of bed. It's hard to get training done. Some of these stimulants are now going to benefit you in that application. So ECY Stack, number 3 for me. Number 2 for me, most effective fat burners is going to be T3. So some people might disagree with this. I myself used to be anti-thyroid hormone myself, in the sense that it's something that can be utilized as a synthetic thyroid hormone to crank up your metabolism at the cellular level. But the negative side effect is that negative feedback loop where you could downregulate your TSH or your thyroid production on its own if you're exposed to T3 for too long. If you're using an exogenous T3 and your body's not producing it, or it slows down its production of T4, which then downstream turns into T3 itself, you can have instances where you cut off T3 and you're done using it and you don't taper yourself down correctly, and you just have this lull where you take some time for your thyroid to bounce back naturally. So that's one negative side effect we have to keep an eye out for, but it does a fantastic job at raising your metabolism, elevates your basal metabolic rate, increases that energy turnover through the metabolism. It'll just strip fat off of you. Now, T3 is also a blunt tool. It's a double-edged sword. So as much as you can burn fat off by increasing the metabolism with synthetic thyroid hormone and T3, You also have to be careful that if your calories are too low and protein are too low, T3 doesn't discriminate. It can strip off some body and some muscle mass as well. So that's something to keep in mind. It also does increase a little bit of your resting heart rate. So be careful if you're starting to add this on top of certain things. There are different stimulants or something like even Retatrutide, which can crank up maybe 10 beats per minute of your heart rate. And then you add in thyroid hormone with T3 that can do the same. And then who knows, a pre-workout, or you train in the morning and have a pre-workout with all this stuff as well. You got to be careful you're not stacking too many stimulants and you're preserving your sleep as well as take care of your heart. But it is very effective. It's been used many a times. I would just start really low on dosing, maybe 25 micrograms, not milligrams, micrograms per day in the morning, or split that dose half in the morning, half in the evening, because T3 kind of has a little bit of a short half-life in itself. I think within a day's time, it'll be in and out of the system. So might want to split up the dose, but start low, give it some time to start working for you. See if that metabolism goes up and fat just starts coming off. You might find yourself a nice sweet spot with the dosing, and you don't have to escalate much at all. So number two will be T3 for me. All right, now number one, Clenbuterol. So another stimulant. So you already heard my thoughts on stimulants. There's pluses and minuses to them. Some people appreciate that extra energy boost. Other people need their sleep like me. Even though I don't sleep much, just the ability to not fall asleep when I want to or when my body's ready to, being kept awake by stimulants is kind of a rough scenario. So Clenbuterol, keep that in mind, is something that's also a stimulant. But Clenbuterol has been tried and true for bodybuilders for years. It's a beta-2 androgenergic agonist, ramps up to your body's lipolysis and your metabolic rate quite a bit, increases your core temperature. It can also just peel that last bit of fat off. It's something that I actually try not to start people on early on in the dieting phase, but maybe implement later on as a last kind of tool to implement. Now, it's extremely effective and it's fast acting. It's something that's going to be with you all day, in the sense that you take it in the morning, you're going to feel a lot of the stimulant and maybe some shaking if you're not too good with stimulants later on in the day. So keep that in mind as a negative. But Clenbuterol is very effective fat loss. Again, something I would use for fasted cardio. And a lot of these I would actually be using most of the time, other than like the GLP-1s that can be dosed at any time. But using these before my fasted cardio to help in that lipolysis process and get the most out of my cardio in the morning. But Clenbuterol, that's my number one. I wouldn't say it's the safest on the list here, but it's definitely going to be the most effective in a single ingredient kind of product that we would use. So check that one out. And again, keep in mind, I'm not prescribing or suggesting that you use these, that this is just for informational purposes only, for entertainment. So do with you, please, this information, and just be responsible. Make sure you take care of yourself first before you start plugging in a million different fat burners. Try one thing, start low, start slow, see how they work for you, learn your body through that method. And I think that's going to be you'll have a good experience that way, rather than just going to adding in everything all at once, all at high doses, or what your buddy takes, or what this guy takes, or that one takes. You got to find out what works best for you individually. So that there is my top 5 fat burners that we can use in a show prep scenario, or just in a general fat burning. But I primarily picked these for bodybuilders in the getting ready to step on stage. So hope that helped you. If you guys got any questions or anything, drop them down in the comments below. If there's anything else you want to see for top 5s, or any different products you want us to deep dive into, any different compounds, just let me know and we can get into that down the road. So appreciate you all watching. And until I see you on the next one, everybody have a good